Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Yeno, Minasoma,
Good
and
morning.
the case I'll be presenting is the people of New York versus Stephen Cabreja and Anthony Nieves.
Let me find it first. Actually, if I spread them out here, I have a better chance of finding it, right? I'm sorry. What were their names again?
Stephen Cabreja and Anthony Nieves.
I've got it. Okay. Go ahead.
On October 23rd, 2000, in front of the Pico Pan Bakery on 1520 College Point Boulevard, the defendants, Stephen Cabreja and Anthony Nieves, approached Alec Marino with a knife and asked him to they demanded his phone, and when he refused, they said, "Give it to us, you gay mother," expletive. Yeah, I didn't want to say it. And they called him slurs related to the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community. And the defendant punched until Alec Marino was bruised and swollen on the left eye, and the other defendant patted his pockets, and there was also an unapprehended suspect who was at the scene and then picked up the wallet and ran away with the two defendants. The charges were robbery in the second degree is a hate crime, robbery in the second degree is a hate crime, robbery in the first degree, robbery in the first degree is a hate crime, robbery in the second degree, robbery in the second degree, assault in the third degree is a hate crime with a DNA sample request, assault in the third degree, DNA sample required upon conviction, and criminal possession of a weapon in the fourth degree. And one thing about this case is that all the charges were charged as robbery and assault, but as hate crimes. And it says in the report that it was an intentional selection and commission of the crime because of the defendant's sexual orientation, because of the amount of slurs that they used related to his sexuality.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything else? Do you know what happened with this case? Because I don't.
I do know that Anthony Nieves was sentenced and he's currently incarcerated. Stephen Cabreja, they didn't have like a public criminal record on him, but Stephen Cabreja is in a federal prison.
Do we know the age, by any chance, of Stephen Cabreja?
I believe Stephen Cabreja was 27 at the time. They were fairly young.
Because I can't imagine that there would not be a record unless the case against him, unless he was either acquitted, that means found not guilty, or for some reason the case was dismissed against him, with the possibility that he testified. He may have gotten some kind of preferential treatment if he testified at the trial against Nieves. So do you know anything about that, if that happened or not?
What happened is the other defendant patted him down when the crime occurred. All he did was, after they all had knives, one punched him and assaulted him. The other patted him down for the BlackBerry phone, and then the last person picked up what was thrown. He threw his items on the street because he probably wanted them to stop, and then the unknown assailant just snatched what was on the floor and left. The first defendant did most of the assault, and the second one just kind of searched him, so he didn't really
Okay, so that's probably
attack
Mr. Cabreja. Do you know what the conviction was, if it was robbery in the first degree or robbery in the second degree? Do you know?
I believe the conviction was robbery in the second degree as a hate crime, because he was sentenced to prison. So
there is a difference. Robbery in the first degree is usually with a weapon or when somebody gets injured. Robbery in the second degree is when it's more than one person is stealing from you and threatens the use of physical force. And robbery in the second degree is a Class C felony, and robbery in the first degree is a Class B felony. The C felony, you can get up to 15 years, and the B felony, you can get up to 25 years. But if it's enhanced as a hate crime, then the sentence can be greater. Okay? You got any questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing we learned is that hate crimes in New York were changed to felony sentencing.
Yeah.
So how many years would just a hate crime alone get even if it didn't involve like robbery and assault? Like how
Well,
many additional?
it depends. What it basically says is, the statute on hate crimes says that if you're convicted of anything as a hate crime, it elevates it one level. So if you get convicted of a misdemeanor, say a Class A misdemeanor, which is you can get a year in prison or a $1,000 fine, if you're convicted of it as a hate crime, it becomes a Class E felony. It's no longer a misdemeanor, you now become a convicted felon, and you could get up to 4 years in prison. And all the way up the line, a Class D felony, you could get up to 7 years, but if it's a hate crime, it becomes a C felony, you can get up to 15, and C and B and B and A and so on and so forth, until it comes up to possible you could get 25 years to life.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice presentation. Congratulations.